Howdy folks, Papa Yam here today, being your real life dad on the dad bike. I'm going to teach you some stuff. Today we're talking about how to corner on your motorcycle. Did you know that the most common accident type, crash type on a motorcycle is a single vehicle accident on a twisty road by themselves? So you might think all these cagers are out here to get you. People are flying through intersections and crashing into you and causing you bodily harm on your motorcycle, but it's actually us doing it to ourselves. So in today's video, I'm going to give you this in layers. We're going to go out here on this beautiful windy road here in Austin, Texas, and I'm going to talk you through everything you need to know about cornering on your motorcycle, how to do it safely, and kind of just build this little kind of layer cake and give you all the skills and thoughts you need to do this correctly. I've got the 360 camera mounted up today directly over my throttle and brake, so we're going to put that picture in picture so you guys can see as I'm riding what my throttle and brake inputs are. So let's swing a leg, let's get started. All right, let's get this motorcycle fired up. I've went ahead and disabled the quick shifter on it. So once we start downshifting and show you guys that stuff, I will be utilizing the clutch as well. Okay, let's do this. So when we talk about cornering on our motorcycle, the very first thing you got to think about is speed. Speed is the number one factor that's going to determine whether or not you are going to make that corner or not. Now, you got to think about speed like this. Speed is equal to radius, right? The faster you go, the less you'll be able to turn, right? If you're going 200 miles an hour, in order for you to turn, you're going to take a big, sweeping, long turn in order to execute that correctly. And it's the same thing with any corner, right? If I was to enter this corner at 90 miles an hour, I'd probably have a really bad time, and maybe I'd be able to make it through, but probably not, right? There is an operating window in terms of speed of how you can take the corner, right? You could take it at 25 miles an hour and carefully plod your way through, or you could take it at, 60 miles an hour, practicing the best techniques and actually navigate. So your entry speed into the corner is the number one factor. And you can control that in a lot of ways, right? You can control it with the brakes as you enter the corner. You can control it by not having excess speed in general as you're riding down this twisty road, right? Like, we're stuck behind this work vehicle that's carrying some sort of little bulldozer thing. And so I'm not able to go very fast, right? I can take any corner on this road at 30 miles an hour and not really have to worry. I'll be able to navigate every single corner at those speeds. The second thing you got to think about is your lane positioning, right? So if you've managed your speed, you have effectively, navigated the corner, you still may get yourself into trouble because of your lane positioning, right? So when you're cornering, when you're going out on fun, twisty roads, putting yourself in the right spot in the lane is the best idea. And typically, the thing you want to do the most is stay away from the double yellows, right? Give yourself a little bit of distance. Stay on the outside of the corner, right? So here, we would stay to the outside over here, right? There's no such thing as apexing on the street. A lot of people talk about how, oh, bro, I hit the apex at this corner. In street riding, there is no such thing as an apex. There's just proper lane position and survivability, right? So, speed limit on this road is 35 miles an hour. I'm technically going almost 15 over the speed limit, and you guys can see that I am cruising on this road, right? My throttle inputs and brake inputs are extremely gentle, extremely subtle. I have a very neutral throttle right now. I may be opening the throttle maybe like 5%. And as we come up to this corner over here, if my speed is nice and low, I simply push a little bit on the bars and I can navigate the corner, right? Motorcycling should be a very serene, smooth, easy activity. If you're fighting the bike, having aggressive inputs, that doesn't really work on road. On road, you gotta be smooth as silk, easy going, right? So we're controlling our speed. We're finding our right lane position, right? If you can just navigate those two things, that's the foundation, that's the bottom layer, and you're already gonna be better off than a vast majority of riders who get themselves into trouble on twisty roads. You don't need to think about body positioning. You don't need to think about counter steering, because the bike is always going to counter steer regardless, right? Like if I'm coming up here to the right, I just push on the right here on the bike carves a nice line. If I push over here to the left, and you see how the bike stays to the left, right? And then I got to pull it back up a little bit. Bikes like those constant inputs. If you're not adding gas or brake, the bike is going to do exactly what you tell it to do. At neutral throttle, the bike sticks to a line, right? So as we come up over here, if I just tug over here and I'm at neutral throttle, it just stays where I put it, right? If I add gas, the bike picks up. Did you see that? Right? So that's going to be the second layer we're going to talk about, is your inputs. How do you make it so that not only are you practicing the right speed, the right lane positioning, but then you give the bike the right inputs in order for it to behave the best it can. So now we're going to talk about how the motorcycle is supposed to work. A motorcycle is designed to take corners with load going into the front end. Now, I am a certified MSF instructor. I did the rider coach training last year, certified to teach the BRC as the basic rider course module. And you'll note if you've done that module that they don't teach trail braking. And you might say, gosh, that's just not the right way to do it, etc., etc. But the thing is, if you're riding with very simple, easygoing neutral throttle, it's not like you really need to trail brake, right? But the motorcycle does work best when you trail brake, when you give it a little bit of load into the front tire. And you get a lot more options when you start trail braking too. But again, unless you're riding pretty darn fast, there's not much of a need to trail brake. Like you just noticed this entire Twisty Road, this whole time, I haven't trail braked once. I've been able to navigate every single corner using just nice, smooth inputs, really easygoing inputs on the bar. And it did not turn into a situation where I felt like I needed to trail brake. Trail braking really only comes into play when you are adding a little bit of pace, having a little bit of fun. And that's when, if you're going to increase the pace and you're going to ride in a more fun, spirited way, you have to be able to trail brake a little bit, right? So let's start amping up the pace a little bit on our motorcycle. Let's say we want to have a little bit of fun. You know, I've always got my finger covered on the front brake. I've spent a lot of time practicing my speed and my lane positioning, and I'm coming over here and boom, add a little bit of brake, load the front end, back on the throttle, pick it up right over here, cruising over here. I'm staying to the outside. Trail, 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 happy with my position, back on the gas, bike picks up. So dynamically speaking, when you start trail braking and adding gas and picking up off the exit, the bike will behave differently. This is why you can't apply MSF style riding and easygoing riding whenever you want to ride a little bit quicker, because the bike behaves differently, right? When you enter a corner like we're going to do here, we're going to enter this corner on the brakes, then back on the gas. You know, every input, right? When you brake, the bike wants to lean in. When you add gas, the bike wants to pick it back up. There's this kind of yo-yo effect that happens, right? And see, we're just right through there. I didn't have to apply any trail braking either, right? You don't have to do it all the time. What you need to do is brake when you're scared, right? Watch that vanishing point, watch your lane positioning, and use those brakes when you need to. Like right here, gonna add a little bit of brake, back on the gas up here. We're coming up towards this section right here. Why don't we add a little bit of brake? Downshift, pick the bike up, back on the brake, back on the throttle. But you'll see in my throttle hand in my braking application, nothing is extreme, right? Like I'm having a little bit more fun, I'm riding a little bit quicker, but I'm not going bonsai mode, you know? Like you're not riding at that track pace, at that race pace on street, ever, right? And you'd be amazed how, you know, if you just keep the speeds a little bit lower, if you just keep the temperature down while you're riding, it really is not hard to navigate these corners, right? It's when you do things that are really outside the bounds, right? And the road signs are there to help you. See, that one says 30 miles an hour. It's letting me know that there's a corner coming up. I just took that at 60 with one hand off the bar. So those are very conservative, right? And if you follow those to a T, you'll be well within the bounds of being able to adjust your line, take it smoothly, take it carefully. Because the lane positioning and the speed and the inputs, all that stuff, it's basically there to give you margin, right? That's the most important thing, because that's the final layer kind of on top of all this sandwich, right? Your lane positioning, your speed, your inputs, smooth as butter, doing the right things, braking when you're adding lean, adding gas when you're coming back up. All of this is designed so that when you need to adjust, which you inevitably will, right? Like, it's very rare that you're riding a twisty road, having a great time on your motorcycle, and all of a sudden, you know, you're, just like you're totally cruising on the road, nothing happens, it's the most beautiful day. There's always adjustments to be made. And mid-corner, if you're using your brakes, if you have margin, if you're not going too fast, you can adjust the line however you need to, right? Whoo, boys, I'll tell you what, I never get tired of listening to this Aprilia 210 V4. It sounds so good. And if you want to make it sound so good in your own driveway, it is a giveaway bike on my website, yammynoob.co. Click the link down below, become a member today, support the show, and get access to win our incredible Aprilia 210 V4 factory. Now let's get back to the show. And that's what it comes down to, is cornering on your motorcycle is about giving yourself options, about practicing the right skill sets, because then you have the ability to adjust. You always need the ability to adjust, especially if you're riding a road you've never been on before, right? That's really when you want to keep the speeds a little bit slower, keep the inputs a little bit smoother, because then you're going to be able to ride in a really nice way. So let's flip around and let's ride this road the way that I might ride it on a normal situation, not a demonstration purposes. And I'll show you guys, and you'll be able to see through my inputs here what I do. So I got guys working over here. I'm obviously not going to speed through them. That would be really crazy. I'm on this adventure bike that's a nice parallel twin, so I got plenty of grunt whenever I need it, right? I don't need to worry so much about my gear. You know, I'm like, oh, I gotta be in the right gear for the power band, and et cetera, et cetera. Since I'm just kind of cruising on the road, it's not really necessary for me to think so much about the gears, especially with this engine configuration. Grab a gear down there, trailing it in, back on the gas, pick the bike up, on the brakes, nice and easy, searching for my exit, searching for the point that I can open the bike back up, watching that road sign says 20 miles an hour. I'm entering at 60. Maybe I drop down 2 gears, I trail brake, pick it back up here, stay to the outside, and then go back on the inside, give myself margin. I'm seeing that I got a car coming up ahead, so probably got to dial the pace back a little bit. But you see, the inputs are very smooth. They're very simple. I'm not piling it into the motorcycle. I'm not going maximum brake pressure and then picking up the gas. And you may not be able to see it through the 360 because I got it pointed right at my hands, but dude, my body position right now, I've been neutral this whole time. My butt's just in this seat. I may put a knee out a little bit just because I've done tons of track days and racing, and that's kind of like, you know, my muscle memory is to when I lean over, this leg just naturally opens up a little bit. But that's all it really is, you know? It's really not that complicated. I think a lot of people overcomplicate cornering, and they come up with the craziest stuff just to make content, right? They'll say, oh, you got to think about the chemical grip of your motorcycle and blah, 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 and the tire pressure and blah, blah. It's not that complicated. Literally just have your tires set up at a normal PSI. There's an operating window with which they'll work, right? You could be at 27 PSI, it could be at 34 PSI. It'll still work, it's fine. Just make sure they're somewhere in the ballpark. And then that's the rest of it, right? Like your inputs, your speed, your gear, positioning, right? All of that just needs to kind of be in the ballpark of what's normal, and the bike will work just fine. People get way in their own heads about like, oh dude, like I have to have like, you know, your wrists have to be lightweight, and you gotta have your perfect body position, and it's gotta be like you gotta pull instead of push on the handlebars. You're way overthinking this. You're way overthinking this. Please just listen to Papa Yam, okay? It's speed, it's lane positioning, and then the layer on top is like, just know how to trail brake and how to adjust your line. Know that when you add gas, you need to be picking the bike up and pointing where you want to go, right? You should never add gas into a turn. You should always either be neutral throttle or braking into a turn, right? And then just have margin. Just ride in a way that keeps yourself safe. I promise you, that is like 95% of the battle. The rest of it, you know, it really comes back down to like very specific track day style riding, racing riding, like that is a whole other ball game, right? And if you want to learn how to get good and get fast on a racetrack, yeah, then body positioning and like threshold braking and, you know, minimizing dead spaces, not coasting, like lines, like all of that becomes way more important when you're trying to extract a fast lap time. But that's not the goal of what we're doing here on the street, right? On the street, we are cruising. We are just trying to stay alive. We're just trying to enjoy our bike, have a nice time. And I'm sure as you've seen on the secondary camera, this whole time I've been behind this little mini truck over here, my throttle has been basically neutral and I've just been coasting through, and I'm technically doing 10 over the speed limit right now, you know? So it's not that hard, boys. It's not that hard. Let me see if I can get a decent run on this road. I'll flip back around and maybe I can show you guys some downshifting and, you know, some other stuff you want to think about. Because that's something I didn't mention, is obviously when it comes to downshifting and picking the right gear, like you have the ability to downshift mid-corner. You can change gears technically whenever you want, but it's a pretty bad idea to be changing gears mid-corner. You really shouldn't be doing that. You should be in the gear you want to be in by the time you enter the turn on the street. That's typically the best way to do it. So we'll show you guys here how I would ride. I'll take this nice, wee, big bump right here. Quite fun. Inside line over here, away from the yellow. We got a little bit of speed going, so we're just gonna trail brake here a little bit. I'll keep it in fourth. Back over here on the gas, it opens up. Trail brake, and I'm happy with my position. Pick the bike back up. Go up into fifth. I'm cruising along this road. I've not really done any crazy body position stuff. I got a corner coming up here, watching my vanishing point. Fine, fine, fine. Yep, navigated that no problem. Didn't need to trail brake. I see that I'm losing the point here. Trail brake, down one gear, back on the gas. Open it up when I want to open it up. See that it's going here a little bit. Downshifted it while I was at lean a little bit. I was nice and smooth with the clutch so that I didn't upset the bike. This is not that hard, man. It's not that hard, I promise. I promise cornering on your motorcycle is a pretty simple thing. At a higher level at the track and racing, it is a very hard thing. It's very hard. But for regular street riding, man, it shouldn't be all that complicated, right? We're technically doing damn near double the speed limit right now, right? Like, if a cop pulled me over, I would maybe get like I'd get like a reckless riding ticket, which to me is absurd given how easygoing my riding is right now. But, you know, that goes to show you that if you do stick to those speed limits and stick to those recommended, you know, speed signs, then you really should have no problems at all. You know what, for demonstration purposes, let me go ahead and show you guys what it looks like riding this road at the speed limit, okay? This is 35 miles an hour. This is the speed limit. I'm speeding right now. I'm going 37. 35 miles an hour. This is the speed limit, right? I'm pretty sure I could kind of do whatever I want at this speed, right? I could probably like side saddle the motorcycle and ghost ride the whip, jump back on. This is almost comically slow to drive on this road. But again, you know, stick to the speed limit if you're worried about this, if you're just starting out, it's your first year of riding. If you do just stick to the speed limit on these twisty roads, you're not gonna have any issues at all. Like, this is a snail's pace for this road, right? And then up here says, oh, it's 30. Okay, so we're gonna dial it back. We're gonna go 30 miles an hour. I'm not even leading the bike. I'm like slightly poking it so that it goes the right direction, right? So again, if you want to stay safe, follow the speed limit. I know it's kind of a cheeseball thing to say, but that really is going to be the best thing. Just follow the speed limit, and then look at that. It's as safe as can be. But I am of the belief, and this is not a belief shared by the MSF or anybody else, it's just my own opinion, that we ride motorcycles to have a little bit of fun, right? Because if you ride them just at the speed limit, then it really kind of is a bit boring. And again, I'm not saying you got to go 100 miles an hour on this road, but you know, if you are going to pick up the pace a little bit, then your inputs have to change. Then your thought process is to change a little bit. But yeah, it's something you're going to pick up over time. Ramp it up slowly. What I see is people riding for like 6 months and then they start adding a ton of speed in the canyons, and then they get into trouble because they target fixate, or they get worried, or they get scared, and they forget how to ride. If you literally don't speed, you will not have these problems, okay? See, that guy was trying to go into my lane right around the corner, and I was able to adjust my line. No problem. Build up your speed gradually. Build up your speed carefully. Don't get into a situation where you're trying to keep up with people and riding beyond your skill sets and being all crazy, because that's how you're going to get into trouble, boys. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's How to Corner vlog. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had some fun and learned something. Think about the layer cake system, right? It's speed. It's lane positioning. Then it's inputs. Brake when you're leaning. Add gas when you're coming up. Watch that vanishing point. The gear isn't so important. You can be in second gear, you can be in fifth gear. As long as you have some power to make it out of there, it's fine. Ride within your limits. Always have margin. And don't be a statistic, you know? The damn statistic says most people crash riding by themselves. Don't let that be you. All right, boys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Catch you in the next one. See you later.